Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome to the latest edition of the We Can't Wrestle podcast. I believe this is episode 258. The brothers Maxon here with you. I'm Nate. That's Aaron.
Hello, everybody.
And, of course, this week we are continuing our journey through the Clash of the Champions. We're going to go back to June 12th, 1991, Clash of the Champions 15, Knoxville, USA. And if there is, at the end of this, I know Aaron said I sound fine on his end, but at the end of this, if my audio is a little wonky and not the normal quality that it is this week, it's because right before we recorded, for some reason, I don't know, I have to figure it out after the fact, my audio system, my normal setup took a shit on me, so I'm using like a backup crappy system right now, so I apologize. I apologize for crappy audio on my end.
My audio is just an earbud. So,
so we will get into it, but one thing I would like to say right off the bat, we definitely have a lot of change between the January 91 and June 91 that we just did. There's a lot of change, a lot of roster change. So there's a lot of new folks on the roster and stuff this week, which we will obviously discuss. Concerning last week, Clash of the Champions 14, we did have a few comments from our friend on YouTube, Brigamus11. You can join the WNR podcast YouTube channel. It keeps growing. It's not huge, but it does keep growing week over week, so we thank you for that. But last week's comments from Brigamus on Clash of the Champions 14, just really quick. He said, I don't think this Clash was great, but Clash 13 was terrible. This Clash was better than the last one, but it wasn't great. He said the first half of that Clash isn't bad. It's entertaining. Scott Steiner said in a shoot interview that he thinks Flair sandbagged him when we're talking about their match from last week. Scotty hates Ric Flair. I think if Ric Flair today saw that match from yesterday or from 30 years ago, he'd shit himself. And, all right, Aaron always likes to say Rigamus11 is me. I think Rigamus11 is Aaron.
Oh, yeah?
Because he also says Alan Iron Eagle is trash.
Oh, that could be both of us.
But anyway, those are Rigamus's comments from last week's show. Thank you, sir, for your comments. Anybody that wants to, feel free to comment on the YouTube, or you can email us at wecan'twrestle@gmail.com, and we will read your comments, questions, or concerns on the air. We're a small operation.
Yeah. I always wondered what their concerns would be.
I don't know. I'm concerned about your health. One of you sounds diabetic.
Yeah.
I actually am diabetic, so I don't know if I sound diabetic, but
I might be, but I don't go to doctors, so I don't know.
All right, how about that Wayback Machine? Before we get into the Clash of the Champions.
All right, we're going to get back in the Wayback Machine. Like you said, it's like the top 2 songs, top movies. Which one do you want first? Movies or songs?
I actually want to do movies because I want to take a guess on the movies.
All right.
At least what number? Okay, so I'm thinking in the spring of 1991, at least one of the top 2 movies is City Slickers.
Yes.
Okay.
Fantastic movie.
Yes, I don't have any fucking clue what the other one would be, but I just know that City Slickers is like a spring summer 91 movie, so I figured it would be up there.
Yeah, it's really
You're right. Great movie, great cast. Billy Crystal, Jack Palance.
Yeah. It's all good. Daniel Stern, Bruno Kirby. It's a good fucking movie.
Yeah, even the sequel, like a lot of sequels to movies like that.
The sequels, yeah, it's okay. It's a funny movie. I mean, you can't go wrong with John Lovitz.
Right.
It's like,
like I said,
I milked your cow. It's a bowl. Yeah. Anyway, But the number one movie is a movie that when I was a kid I liked it, but when I watched it in my later years, I'm like, this movie's kind of boring, and it's Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, with
Oh,
Morgan Freeman and Kevin Costner.
Kevin Costner. Yeah, I
It's
mean
kind of
it's
a
a good
boring movie.
it is. I mean it's a good film. You know what I mean? Like it's a good movie. I wouldn't say it's like a bad movie, but you're right. It does drag at parts. It could be a little shorter.
Yeah.
And then of course that movie's famous for the Bryan Adams song
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
was like you couldn't get away from that song at this time.
Yeah. So, I mean, like you said, it was decent, but it was just kind of boring. And then the top two songs, the
I don't.
number one song. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I don't even have a clue on anything to guess for some reason for this time in '91 for a song.
The number one song is a song that I don't remember, and it's "Rush Rush" by Paula Abdul. I don't remember that song.
I don't remember that one either. Off the top of
But
my
the
head.
number two song, I do remember is "I Want to Sex You Up."
Color Me Bad. Yes.
How do you not remember "I Want to Sex You Up"? This is 92, so I would have been like 11.
91. Right? 91. So
Yeah,
yeah.
90, what did I say? Did I say 91? Yeah,
You,
I would have been 11. So I'm listening to the radio, and 11-year-old me's like, "I want to sex you up," and nobody had a problem with it.
a couple of years later, it'd be Silk. Freak Me, Baby. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Then we got "All I Want to Do Is I'm a Zoom 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 and you boom boom. Just shake your rump."
What your man got to do with me?
You know what the funny thing about that song is?
What's that?
Positive K sung all of it.
I did not realize that he did the woman part too.
He did. He just sped it up.
I had no idea. I fucking learned something new
Yeah.
today.
He sung all of it, and he just yeah.
He was Trent Reznor before Trent Reznor.
And he was Dave Seville after Dave Seville.
What your man got to do with me? All right. So, Clash of the Champions 15, June 12th, 1991, Knoxville, Tennessee at the Civic Auditorium, which is why it's called, of course, Knoxville, USA, KNOCKS. Good crowd. So I guess we'll just start. We'll just start off and we'll see where the conversation takes us with everything that's happened between when we watched the last one from January and this one, which is, first of all, this is going to be the last Clash of the Champions for quite some time that we see Ric Flair on as we do this series, because
Yeah.
within a month from this, Flair is telling WCW to get fucked, and he is going to be on his way to the WWF with the title belt.
You might not know, and I can't remember, but is Dusty still Booker?
Yes, Dusty is actually the booker of record until the actual head booker of record until at least when Hogan comes in.
Okay. So that's what I was gonna say. It's like
there, you know, there's
about. Oh, good. Sorry.
I was gonna say there's other people involved, obviously, with the creative process, but Dusty is the head booker of record until at least mid '94.
So that's what I was say. Like we watched this last show, and this is what, like you said, like 5 months later.
Yeah, right around 6 months. Yeah.
So he's starting to weed out who he didn't want to, and like I said, we're gonna have these coming attraction things coming in, so he's kind of like finally starting to bring in people that he wants to bring in or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, you're definitely going to see a stark difference between the last one and this one. Like I said, Missy Hyatt opens.
Sorry, I was just gonna say because like wrestling at this time, it's like a good booker, like a really good book would book like a year out, but like if you think about it, like this is like if you take over a company that's already had shit in place, it might take 3 months to get out of it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
we're starting to finally delve into him being comfortable, and these are the people that he wants to use, or at least the people that Jim Hurd wants him to use. You know what I mean?
Yes, for better or for worse. And there are definitely some people on this roster that you can tell it's very Dusty influence that they're here. And again,
Yeah.
that's for better or for worse. But we open the show up like I when they came on the of course they play the opening video and then they come on the air, show us the arena. They got the ramp. I don't remember. Did we have that ramp already at the last one, or is this the first time we have this the ramp, the literally or not the ramp? You know what I mean, but that goes straight up to the ring.
The last one, it was at the edge of, or it was at the corner of the ring.
Okay. But anyway, we get Missy Hyatt introducing the show. And Paulie dangerously comes out, and she's pretty much disgusted by him and walks off. And Paulie acts like he's surprised by this, even though they've been feuding.
He's more
And
upset because he wasn't introduced. He didn't
that's
know
true.
the show was starting.
How unprofessional, Heyman.
Yeah.
You should know the show's starting. You know, the crowd's cheering, the music's playing. Maybe you should get the hint. But he sends it to our play-by-play men for the evening. It's going to be Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone. I put down here, Tony now has a new bouffant, and this one's a little blonder than it was last time. Yeah, I am going to do the evolution of the bouffant until it stops.
Yes, he was in the sun.
Yeah, he's sun and fun, Tony Schiavone, on this one.
Yes. This bouffant is sun-kissed.
Jim Ross and Tony introduce the show. And then we go to our first matchup, which here's an entourage for you. It's the Freebirds, of course, Michael Hayes, Jimmy Garvin, along with their tag team partner, Bad Street, which is a man in a mask. Yes, Brad Armstrong is playing Bad Street. So between now and then, he's obviously replaced Richard Marley. They've done the Bad Street thing with.
Yeah.
But that's not it. That's not all. We've also got Diamond Dallas Page, who is obviously a Dusty hire.
Yes.
With his Diamond Dolls and another obvious Dusty hire, it's Oliver Humperdinck as Big Daddy Dink.
Daddy Dink. And that was in my notes. It's like the Freebirds come out with every fucking gimmick. Like every gimmick you can have. Tassels, hats, managers, ladies, cigars, glitter, sparkles. It's like every fucking gimmick you can have. They have it. It's a fucking gimmick overload. It's like, Jesus Christ, guys, settle the fuck down.
But it is all here and all on display.
Yes.
But yes, the Freebirds and Bad Street, it's a 6-man tag team match because their opponents are I mentioned this, I think, a couple of shows ago. I couldn't remember when they actually got rechristened from being the Wild-Eyed Southern Boys to now they are the Young Pistols from Wyoming, I believe.
Yes.
The Young Pistols and the Z-Man, Tom Zank. And it is a 6-man tag team match.
Like,
go ahead.
I was going to say, the Birds group looks like those, like, people that would sell you, like, wolf shit at like the fair. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like Navajo esque like things,
Or
and like
like a
everything has it's all topaz and wolf. Like what? I don't want to buy any of this.
yeah, those the like they'll sell you a throw blanket that has a wolf on it
Yeah, and a dream catcher.
that you're gonna use as a curtain in your house trailer.
Yeah, and they're all kind of musty. That's what they look like. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I didn't have many notes on this match because it was pretty quick for a 6-man. But a lot of the matches on this clash are actually very quick.
They are. Um, One note I did have, and I don't even know if I noticed it, and it might just have been me getting too into the weeds of it. But Brad, he didn't work heel very much, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But him working as like him doing the Bad Street gimmick, some of the shit that he did, I noticed when you watch um Brian Armstrong work as Road Dogg, he
Yeah.
did like a lot of the shit that Brad did as a heel in the Bad Street gimmick. Like Brad as Bad Street did like the Shutter Step punch, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's
Yeah. No. I mean, I wasn't. I guess I wasn't watching closely enough to notice, but now that you mention it, yeah, you're right. I mean, and you can see that. That's probably how they're. As far as heel mannerisms go, that's probably what their dad taught them. This is
yeah.
because when Bob Armstrong turned heel, all it took was a mustache and a cigarette.
Cigarette. Yeah. But yeah, it's
But
like I just noticed. I'm like I saw some of the shit Brad did as a heel, and I'm like, this looks like the. It wasn't everything, but I just
mhm,
noticed like
mhm.
little small subtleties. I'm like, it's just like shit BJ did when he started doing Road Dogg.
Yeah, I can see that.
Brad was so fucking good, man. So fucking good.
Yep, there are few. I would. I don't know how to put it. Like in as I'll say between 19. Let's say between 1989 and 19. I'll just say 94. Let's say that 5-year period. There are very few wrestlers, if any, as smooth and natural. Maybe Kurt Hennig in the ring. Maybe Brad Armstrong. I'll say it. Between 89 and 93, Brad Armstrong and Kurt Hennig were the two best, just smooth,
In
perfect
America, yes.
pro wrestlers
In America, yes.
in North America. Because that's when I say wrestling, I'm talking about North America.
I know. I'm just saying, like, I've gone back and watched other shit, and like, shouldn't say shit, but like Dean, Dean really got like on our radar in like 94,
95,
95.
95 ish. Yeah.
And same with Finley. But like when I go back and watch like Japanese and European stuff with those guys, it's like they were fucking great too.
Yeah. Well,
But
yeah.
yeah, Brad's right on that fucking list.
Yeah. And I was going to say, yeah, just like you were saying, like that's why I said till like 93, early 94, because then 94, 95, we've got Dean Malenko, we got Eddie Guerrero, we got Rey Mysterio. And I'm not saying
Yeah.
that Brad Armstrong went to shit or anything. I'm just saying, like, that's why I say him and Hennig for that like 4 to 5 year period.
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
But the Young Pistols and Z-Man win this match. They win with a triple sunset flip, which is a cool visual. And again, like I said, this was short, but it was fun. It did its purpose, and everybody worked well. And this was a fun little match to open up the show. No complaints.
It was. No problem with it.
Then they talked to us about it's the Flash and Bash, Great American Bash sweepstakes, and the only note that I had down was, I think that is Robin Leach doing the narrating.
It's either that or it's somebody trying
or somebody trying to sound like Robin Leach. Yes.
And then Oz makes his entrance.
Yes.
And at least no monkeys were killed this time.
That's so funny because my notes say Oz makes his entrance with the Grand Wizard. No monkey.
No monkey.
No monkey.
No monkey, no cry. Kevin Sullivan is no longer allowed to handle animals. So you killed a monkey.
Maybe if he wouldn't have been looking backwards going, "Welcome to Oz. Welcome to Oz."
Wearing a rubber mask while setting off promo or pyro, yelling, "Welcome to Oz, welcome to Oz," and flinging a monkey around. It's like something bad's gonna happen. But no monkey died this time. And it's the great and powerful Oz versus Johnny Rich.
I wrote down on my notes here. I wrote down on my notes here. I don't even know if this is going to make any fucking sense. I've always thought that Johnny Rich had the face of like a cartoon Baluka. Like he's got like it's like his cheeks are like biceps. He just got this. I don't know. He's got an odd face. He looks like a cartoon. I don't even know how to describe it.
I get it. My note was the last time we saw Oz, he was a master blaster. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's like we talk about how great of a mind Dusty Rhodes is, but once again, we're 6 months in, and you have this guy that looks like Kevin Nash, and you have no fucking idea what to do with him. Like, why is this guy not your fucking champion? Or at least thinking about it. You know, it's like, say what you want to say. Like, I know his 95 run, people shit on him about it or whatever. Oh, lowest time in the business. It's like nobody would have been successful in 95 or 94, 95. But Kevin Nash, and it's like, oh, let's make him the great and powerful Oz.
Yeah, and you know, not just the look, but
his fucking personality.
Yes, I was gonna say, you know, they've interacted with him in the back. They know how fucking charismatic he is.
At the bar? Right. You're gonna tell me Dusty Rhodes didn't have fucking 12 beers with Kevin Nash?
Exactly.
What the fuck?
Yeah. But yeah, you're right. Like it is this weird anomaly that just like I don't understand how they couldn't figure it out. You know, there's like those people with in every organization, obviously, because there's people in WWF where you're like, I don't know what they didn't. I don't like. I never understood. And I know. I'm pretty sure it was politics, if I remember right from like the Dark Side of the Ring thing and everything. So maybe I understand a little more now, hearing the hindsight. But I never understood 87, 88 why Vince let fucking Bam Bam Bigelow get away.
Yeah.
You know, and now again, like I said, seeing some of that shit, you know, and hearing about it, and I don't know, Bam Bam was just always like a man. They didn't know what they had there, but same with us, like you're saying, same here with WCW and Kevin Nash. And the funny thing is, as far as the way he's racking up victories and stuff, they're pushing him the way he should be pushed, but he's never going to get over as a world championship caliber competitor with this stupid fucking gimmick.
The great and powerful Oz. Still good.
But Kevin Nash as Oz gets a quick win over Johnny Rich with a pretty much an airplane spin into just throwing the guy across the ring, and he pins him.
Yeah.
And then we get the first of what Aaron was describing of the coming attraction vignettes, which I think are very effective here.
They are, except for this guy.
And I did write down here, oh, Aaron's going to be happy. PN News has landed.
But coming attraction, PN News, fucking barf.
Yo, baby, yo, baby, yo.
I hate that guy. Shouldn't say hate the guy, I hate the gimmick.
So which is worse? PN News or Men on a Mission?
PN News. Because Oscar could at least white suburban rap. Like PN News' raps aren't even good at all.
Hey, if he listens to this, maybe after you complimented him a little bit, the next time we go to a convention, Oscar won't mean mug you.
He won't mean mug me?
Maybe not.
I always thought he looked like a guy that'd be like, my feet's hurt.
I think he heard you say that one time, and that's why he mean mugged you at every convention we go to.
My feet's hurt.
I need my sugar pill.
No. Feet's
yes. Coming soon, PN News, which he's coming really soon because he's going to be on the show later on. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
The next matchup is Big Dan Spivey, Dangerous Dan Spivey, coming out doing the hokiest psycho eyes you've ever seen. And this is another note that I have as we go through this show. And he's going against Big Josh, which is obviously Matt Bourne.
Big doink.
Big doink. And the funny thing is, I currently, as we speak, I forget to do it but whenever we have a show, whether it's just me and you or me, you and the guys, I always want to start it off, and I never do, with what are you watching? Because we're all wrestling fans, we're all always watching something. You know what I mean? We're going through something. Right now, what I'm watching is 89 and 90 Sportatorium Dallas stuff. So after the Eric Embry PY Chuhai thing, where Jarrett took over and made the Sportatorium USWA. Anyway, so I'm watching Texas from 89 and 90. There are a lot of guys here in June of 91 that they scooped up out of that promotion. Matt Bourne being one of them, because Matt Bourne, actually, there's a thing right now where he's got like a feud going on that I'm watching with him and Kevin and Carrie. Like they were friends, and now there's like tensions starting and blah blah blah. But there's very much shades of Doink in his little kind of subtle heel turn that he's doing is the shit that I'm watching from Texas. But he's just one guy, and I kind of was keeping track of how many of the guys that were in this 89-90 Texas that I'm watching that are now in WCW. Matt Bourne's one of them as Big Josh.
And
I was hoping this would be the one where he came down with the Bears, where Jim Ross made the bear joke about Gary Michael Capetta.
Not yet. My note was it's the battle between two of the best. I don't know if they're Vince gimmicks or Bruce gimmicks, but
shit, I didn't even realize it when I was watching it.
Two of the best gimmicks of those two guys' minds that never got a proper chance.
It's Doink versus Waylon Mercy, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Like if both of these guys would have been healthy on Spivey's aspect or Spivey's
because they were going to give Spivey a push, and then he told him that he was going to have to hang it up. So then they just made him jobber to the stars on his way out.
His back was fucked up or whatever.
Yeah,
and if Matt Bourne would have been not Matt Bourne, it's like these could have been two of the greatest fucking gimmicks of all time. It's Waylon Mercy versus Evil Doink. Jesus Christ.
right. But yeah, it's Big Josh. Go ahead.
And then I was just gonna say the match goes on, and Kevin Sullivan comes out
with wild hair.
He's got like wild hair and looks like some Oshkosh bagosh. Fucking overalls on, and he attacks. Big Doink with a crutch. Spivey gets a German suplex. 1, 2, 3. Your winner is Dane Spivey.
And
what could have been.
Once again, shorter kind of match. So not a lot. There's a lot of matches on this show where I don't have really any notes on the match because they're not that long. It's just more about the finish and advancing the storyline, which that's another way you can tell, you've kind of changed bookers here. Dusty's going in a different direction than Ole. Dusty's going in a direction I think that pleases Jim Herd more than Ole.
Yeah.
Then we get after that match, we get the top 10, which I didn't write down anything about the top 10 this time.
I did. I can read it to you if you want.
Okay. All right. Usually I write shit down about it, but I just didn't this time. But
I actually wrote it down and then wanted to write down the top 10 tag teams. They didn't do it this time, so they must have their tag team rosters sucked. But your champion is Ric Flair. Number 10. The number 10 contender is Stone Cold. Stunning Steve Austin. Number 9 is the One Man Gang. Number 8 is Barry Windham. Number 7 is Arn Anderson. Number 6 is the man they call Sting. Number 5 is Nikita Koloff. Number 4, Beautiful Bobby Eaton. Number 3, El Gigante. Number 2, The Great Muta. And number 1 is the United States Heavyweight Champion, Lex Luger.
One thing I will say about this top 10, they do mention as they do the top 10, and this is the WCW, everybody. They do still say Bobby Eaton is the world television champion. And again, this is my thing. He is not. The match has not aired yet, but as of this show on June 12th, did I say it was? June 12th? Yes. Steve Austin has actually been the television champion for 9 days because he won the title at the June 3rd TV taping, which has not aired yet. But anyway.
Don't let facts get in the way of a good story.
Exactly. And then we get a useless Danger Zone. WCW's favorite celebrity of the early 1990s, Jason fucking Hervey. What are your thoughts on Jason Hervey and WCW?
What was his name on one of yours?
God damn it.
You can't remember Kevin Arnold's brother's name.
I can't either. Kevin. Oh man, I can't remember either.
It's gonna bug me, and I need you to look it up.
I'm going to right now, but
right now,
your thoughts on? See, I have my thoughts on Jason Hervey and the continual appearances.
I always thought I didn't think Jason Hervey was a midget, but every time I saw him on WCW, I'm like, why is that guy a midget? Like a dwarf.
Wayne.
Wayne. Yeah, Wayne Arnold. I thought Wayne Arnold always looked kind of like a dwarf. But this segment is Paulie dangerously interviews Jason Hervey. Paulie's doing he's doing the Bruce Pritchard gimmick, where I shouldn't say Bruce Pritchard gimmick, Brother Love gimmick, where he asks him a question and he pulls the mic away so he can't answer. And Lil Hervey's getting upset, and Paulie's asking him about dating Missy Hyatt. And then Herbie makes fun of Paulie dangerously for losing to a woman, which was Missy Hyatt. And he goes to leave, and then Paulie hits Wayne Arnold in the back of the head with his big cell phone, and that's how that segment ends.
Okay, so the reason I asked you about the
Jason Hervey really isn't a celebrity.
Okay, all right, I understand. I understand. But no, the reason I asked the question was because he's like one wrestling celebrity that I am of two minds on, which doesn't happen very often because we talk about it a lot. Like you have wrestling celebrities.
I respect him for being a fan.
Yes, you have wrestling celebrities that achieve awfulness, like that Jeremy Piven guy, or fucking. There's a number of them. Awful, just fucking awful. And then there's those rare occasions like a Mike Tyson, or a fucking Kevin Federline, or a Logan Paul, who now I wouldn't even consider him a wrestling celebrity.
Logan Paul's a wrestler now.
He's a wrestler now, but you know what I mean. Who do a really good job and show respect for the business and excel at being a part of the show.
McAfee would even be kind of a celebrity.
Yes, and I love him too. But
he's an athlete too. But sorry.
Hervey is the rare occasion where I really can't stand him on my TV, but I can see that he's trying. he likes it. He respects the business. Yeah. He's trying to be a productive member of the show. It doesn't work. I don't know.
It's because he's so little. He's like a normal sized person. He's not even a normal sized person. I'm a normal sized person. But I think if I met Jason Hervey, I'd be like, "You're a little guy." I don't know.
There's that show where it's Jason Hervey and Eddie Haskell are like the celebrities on the show. Anyway, the next match features another guy that is in the 89-90 Texas promotion that I'm watching, the USWA right now, Dustin Rhodes. Dustin Rhodes versus Terrence Taylor of the York Foundation. And we have Big Cat Daddy is Mr. Hughes. He's in the Mr. Hughes gimmick, baby.
Funniest joke, I think, or I shouldn't say funniest joke, but biggest pop I think I ever got from you on one of our shows. That's when Chad was delivering drugs. I was like, I got a prescription for a B cat. Is there a B cat? And that's the most ever with that. And it's gonna happen later when they. It's gonna happen later when they introduce him. But go ahead, go through the match. Sorry.
Well, this is more of it's funny. Do you ever notice that the York Foundation segments are always disjointed? Like on the last one, they had like where they were going to reveal the York Foundation member, and Terry Taylor was having a match, and then they did like an inset promo with Terry, and she was like, "The new member is Terry Taylor," and then they did the awkward thing, and they do the same thing here.
I know, and it's later on, but that's what I was going to say later on, but you brought it up, so I'll say it now. The WCW York Foundation is the worst group to ever unveil their new members.
They're like the worst. Yes. They have no idea.
We have this great computer, but it cannot tell us how to do this properly, and it's going to be the most underwhelming introduction of a member of our group.
I'm glad you picked up on the same thing I did, because I was like, it's like a running theme with this fucking faction.
No, Ricky Morton's turning heel, and later on he's gonna pile drive Robert Gibson. Like, why wouldn't Robert Gibson have known that? This is terrible.
Yeah, like I said, the match is Terrence Taylor against
Like,
Dustin
the
Rhodes.
group could actually be pretty cool. Like, the group itself.
If they weren't such a bunch of hapless idiots.
Yes, if they just wouldn't.
Fucking Keystone Cops over here.
Yeah, like, they're early comers. It's like you just busted your wad before you. Whatever. Anyway.
Well, during the match, they do mention, Jim Ross does mention that Dustin Rhodes was offered the position in the York Foundation and denied Alexandra York, which is funny considering the fact that about a year he'll be fucking her.
I think he's fucking her right now, probably.
Mr. Hughes gets up on the apron to distract Dustin, but Dustin clocks Mr. Hughes down off the apron. And then Ricky Morton comes out, and he stands in the ring. All this York Foundation shit is always so awkward. He stands in the ring, and Jim Ross has to go, I think he might be there to help Dustin.
But he's not. Dustin didn't even need help.
Yeah, right.
And all that shit happens, and Ricky Morton hits Dustin. Dustin Rhodes wins by DQ, and then Big Doink comes out, and he makes the save.
Big Josh comes out to help Dustin. Which earlier on, so I assume Big Josh at this point is feuding with Black Blood, because they said that Kevin Sullivan came out on behalf of Black Blood. So why is Big Josh involving himself in Dustin Rhodes' business with the York Foundation? What the fuck is going on?
Who fucking knows?
I know. I'm trying to get logic from an illogical situation. I understand. So moving on.
Pull out of it, man.
I'm going to give myself a fucking aneurysm. Moving on. We have a coming attractions vignette for Johnny B. Bad. I love Jim Cornette when he talks about Dusty and Johnny B. Bad. And Jim Cornette's like, I don't know. I asked Dusty what he saw in Mark Marrow. And he said, he looks like Little Richard. And I said, well, what else? And Dusty said, he looks like Little Richard.
So there's nothing there, man.
I'm a bigger fan of much bigger fan of Mark Marrow than you. I think that pre-knee injury Mark Marrow was actually a fantastic worker. I do agree, like, that if you talk to like Bruce Pritchard or something, if you think about the fact that Vince McMahon was paying him all that money, I do agree that he's a guy on the card that probably got paid more than he was worth. But I think Mark Marrow is a good worker that served a purpose on the card.
The only time I enjoyed him was this Mark. I thought, oh, hush, you big bear.
Oh, hush.
I'm so pretty, it should be illegal. Like, this one's okay, but this was like a year-long gimmick, and he should have just fucking disappeared to never be seen again.
Well, after that, we get Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone discussing the return of Nikita Koloff, the issues that went down between Nikita Koloff and Sting at the Super Brawl. I said the Super Brawl like I'm Bret Hart. At the Super Brawl.
In the Survivor Series.
In the Survivor Series, Bill Goldberg.
This match is decent, but let me ask this question.
Okay.
I don't know if I've asked you this before or not. And I know we were just talking about with Johnny B. Bad, Mark Marrow. I'm you're a bigger fan of Mark Marrow than I am,
Mhm.
and I'm a bigger fan of Nikita than you are.
You are a much bigger fan of Nikita than I am. Yes.
Yes. But the question I would ask is, do you think Nikita should be in the Hall of Fame, the WWE Hall of Fame?
Yeah. Yeah. Easy
I think he
answer for
should.
me. Yes. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Whether I'm a fan or not, the WWE Hall of Fame, for all intents and purposes, in mainstream society, is now the Wrestling Hall of Fame. People can hate on it if they want. Go fuck off if you don't agree. I don't care what you think. In the mainstream, because they're the biggest company, they're the NFL of the business. If they put somebody in their Hall of Fame, that's the Hall of Fame to me. And with the titles that he won, the crowds that he drew, the things that he excelled at and succeeded at, whether I'm a huge fan or not, absolutely Nikita Koloff's a Hall of Famer. No doubt.
I believe so too. Like, I thought his career would have been different if Magnum wouldn't have got hurt, but I still think he would have had a Hall of Fame career, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I actually like the Sting Nikita like story. Like, there's layers to it, but
Yeah.
we'll
Yeah.
get into
No,
it.
and I'm absolutely not shitting on it. I thought this match was good. I do too. I like this story that they tell with Sting and Nikita in 91. And I actually like the story they tell with Nikita and Rick Rude coming up in 92 too.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this match was fine. It hit every mark that it could for a 10-minute match. Pretty much Sting kind of fights from underneath like he should. Nikita's kind of dominant. And Sting, Nikita, essentially at the end, Sting goes for a Stinger Splash. Nikita moves. Nikita tries the Iron Sickle on Sting, and Sting ducks that. Nikita kind of hits his. I think he hits his shoulder into the turnbuckle, and Sting hits him with a quick roll up for the win. So nobody loses or gains anything in this match, and it furthers the story.
Yes.
But yeah, I liked it. I thought it was good shit.
Yep.
Again, like I always say, I think sometimes when because I've seen some comments from people and stuff, or had discussions with people on my opinion on Koloff. I don't dislike Nikita Koloff. I just personally, in my mind, I look at him as a little overrated. Like I don't watch Nikita Koloff and go, "This guy stinks." That's not. I don't want anybody to think that at all, ever. And it is what it is. But yeah. Did you have anything else to say about this match? I know I kind of took over there.
It's fine. It's kind of like we're going to talk about him. He's in the next segment. It's kind of like Mark Marrow. It's like, I didn't think Mark Marrow sucked. You know what I mean?
Just not your cup of tea.
It's not my cup of tea. But my favorite thing is like anybody like hearing what I ever heard about Arn Anderson, about Nikita Koloff, because Nikita would do the Russian gimmick, fucking private. They'd be on the plane and he'd be like, "I'm Nikita Koloff." It's like, we know you're Scott Sampson from Minnesota. Settle the fuck down.
So up next, Tony Schiavone and his Bouffant are in the ring. He introduces PN News, who is escorted to the ring by. They're just getting heated up in the rap community at this point. But I will say this. I will say over Queen
no-showed.
Over Queen Latifah, over MC Light, over any other female hip hop artist. Salt and Peppa is my jam. That's my favorite female hip hop artist. But you know what I mean. Like, Salt and Peppa's the shit. But yeah, Salt and Peppa is here. Very, like I said, very early in their hip hop career, getting heated up. But they are walking out to the ring with this guy, this PN
There's no
News.
salt. It's just Peppa and Spinderella.
Oh yes, it's
Salt,
Peppa and
salt,
Spinderella.
salt,
Yeah.
salt no showed.
She won't when it comes to Bret Hart though. Ow.
Oh yeah, yeah. She wanted that fucking. She wanted that pork chop. The white.
But
meat.
anyway. Yeah, like Aaron said, Peppa and Spinderella are out here with PN News. And PN News gives us what I can only imagine is pretty much how Jim Herd would rap.
It's terrible. And he raps the shittiest rap ever. And when it's done, Tony Schiavone's like, there it is, everybody. PN News. He audibly laughs at this guy.
The beauty of Tony Schiavone. Tony Schiavone is like the resting bitch face of commentators. Like he can't hide his emotions.
Yeah.
Like I tell my wife all the time. Like she tries to be like her words are nice, but I'm like, babe, your face tells the story every time. Like, but anyway,
my boss tells me that at work every day. She's like, the words you're saying are fine, but the way you say it, it's not. But this happens, and then Teddy Long and Johnny B. Bad come out
to the most generic sock hop 50s music you've ever heard.
Yes, and Johnny B. Bad says that PN News is a big old ugly bear.
You a big old ugly bear.
And News takes offense, and then Johnny B. Bad runs away. Sounds exactly like it is.
So there's this. There's that. Then we get another coming attractions video. Hey yo. I know.
For a guy that's gonna be on the show in a minute.
And he's like, you know who I am, but you don't know why. No, wait, that's a few years in the future. But yes, it's a this is what I put down. This is another Dusty guy.
Yeah.
Diamond Stud, Scott Hall. You can't shit on the Diamond Stud gimmick because it's essentially Razor Ramon before Razor Ramon.
Yeah.
Razor Ramon is just pretty much the Diamond Stud gimmick, but he's made into a Cuban drug dealer.
He doesn't have tearaway pants.
Right, he doesn't have terrible rip away pants. He did it first.
Yeah.
Or no.
He just had long tights.
Yeah, he had those disgusting looking long, like those purple, like it was like his Razor Ramon gear, but with long tights. It was awful.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's bad shit.
But anyway, cool to see that the Diamond
it's like when you put him in those tights, like when you watch that like dark match stuff where he wore the long pants, it made him look small.
Yeah, and awkward. Yeah, small
if
and
that
awkward.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, not to get into the weeds or whatever, but like I listened to a podcast like years ago where Jericho was interviewing Hunter, and he talked about the first time he met Scott Hall, and Hunter was like talking about how guys like make themselves look bigger on TV, you know?
Yeah.
And he talked about like meeting Scott Hall for the first time, like backstage. And it's like he was talking about like Scott was like in shorts and a t-shirt, and he met him, and Sean was like, "Hey, this is Scott," and like Triple H shook his hand or whatever and watched Scott walk away. He's like, "I just saw this guy," and he's like, he looked all spindly with like his little legs. I'm like, that's fucking Razor Ramon. But then he got in the ring with him. He's like, look how big this motherfucker. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if what it's like how a guy can like accentuate himself on camera or in the ring just by how they dress. But anyway.
Yeah. The next matchup is a tag match. It's Arn Anderson and Barry Windham against Brian Pillman and El Gigante. The individual loser leaves WCW.
Yes.
In this match, pretty much Pillman and El Gigante do the Colossal Connection gimmick where Pillman does the work.
Yeah.
And
it's funny, like I put, like you just said it, like say what you want to say about El Gigante and say what you want to say about WCW, but WCW actually used El Gigante the way you should use him.
Yep. Giant babyface attraction.
Yeah, have people look at him. The match goes on. The loser of the fall is gonna have to leave WCW. It breaks down. Wyndham. It's actually a really good finish. Like Barry.
Oh
Windham
yeah, I like this finish. A lot of times I don't write down intricate finishes. I just write down what the little finish was. But I can always tell when I like a finish because I write it down like in detail.
Yeah. Like Arn gets El Gigante out of the ring. Barry Windham just kicks Brian Pillman in the face and pins him 1, 2, 3, and Brian Pillman has to leave WCW. And this is gonna set up Brian Pillman being Yellow Dog for like 2 months.
You yellow dog.
He's gonna come out to the ring with a golden retriever. It's silly, but it is.
Yo Mamba, the jungle savage. You yellow dog. Anyway. So every once in a while, my super podcast, like 605 super podcast fandom shows a little bit. But then we get, and I wrote down here, Paulie Dangerously is in. I never understood why WCW had the fake ass looking event center thing. Like WWF had the event center. WCW should have, instead of making a cartoon event center behind the commentator, should have made their own type of event center, because there's times where they just make themselves look like they just want to be WWF so bad. And I always hated this control center thing where it's like a cartoon, like TV studio behind them. I always hated it.
Yeah, it's dumb.
But it's Paulie with the Great American Bash update. I just wrote Paulie with the Great American Bash update with the fake event center behind him. Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone are at ringside. They're discussing the IWGP Tag Team Championships coming up, and they show footage from Japan of Rick and Scott Steiner winning the IWGP Tag Team Championships in Japan. And I wrote down here, I bet that Japanese people love the fucking Steiner brothers.
Oh, they do. Or did. And said it before on previous shows. Obviously on previous clashes and other WCW stuff we talked about. Like that was like the one thing that I shouldn't say the one thing, but that was one of the cooler things that WCW did other than Vince, was acknowledging that, hey, guess what?
There's other wrestling besides us.
There's other wrestling, yeah. In this match, it's good.
Did you notice? Because the match is Hirohase and Masahiro Chono versus the Steiners for the IWGP Tag Team titles. One thing that I wrote down that I wanted to ask you is, did you notice, and I don't know if something happened in the mastering of this or something, but did you notice that halfway through this, it went to like the original grade video?
Yeah, and the finish. Like, it's probably just the quality of the tape.
Yeah, it was just very, I don't know. It was, you know what I mean? Like, it was very like, what's the word I'm looking for? It was, it was very stark. Yeah, it was very
Yeah, it went
stark
from
because
being HD to being or
not HD.
4K, whatever you would call it,
Yeah.
to being fucking VHS. Um, a couple of notes that I have was when Chono and Steiner were in there, they were pretty stiff. Or Steiner, when Chono and Scotty were in there, they were pretty stiff with each other for a minute.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and Chono was the originator of the STF,
Yes.
and um, in my opinion, that's actually one of the coolest looking moves ever in professional wrestling.
It is. It is. It is.
Like that looks like a move that if you would show that to somebody that didn't like wrestling and you showed them that fucking move, you'd be like, yeah, that move would probably fuck you up.
And it's one of those wrestling moves. I love a wrestling move that as I'm looking at somebody doing it to another person, like even though I know this is fake, I'm still convinced that fucking hurts.
Yeah, that's what I'm
like
saying. It's like
like
somebody could be like, oh, that would fucking hurt.
like the surfboard. You know what I mean? But yeah,
Yeah.
the STF definitely is a
Like
very
The STF looks like a move that somebody would teach, like would be taught in like cop training,
mm-hmm.
like a police officer. Like if somebody's, oh, this guy's losing his fucking, all right, drop him down and get him in that STF. Like it's actually a really cool looking move. And then the only other note I have is not even a wrestling note. Well, it's kind of a wrestling note. It's like the Steiners are the IWGP Tag Team Champions. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So they get to go to Tokyo. And Chono and Haas, they get to go to Knoxville. It's like, I don't know if like I don't know if two Japanese guys going to Knoxville be like, oh, we got to go to Knoxville. When they got back, like we got to go to the Knoxville. We went to Dollywood.
Big American titties.
Big American titties. So maybe it would be if they got to go to see Dolly. But you know what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if that it's like when we watch that the NWA thing or whatever. It's like when we talk about like or whatever like young guys get to come to America.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do they think of it the same way that we think about like thinking about guys getting to go to Japan?
I'm sure they do. Like if you watch the FMW episode of Dark Side of the Ring, Onita just was like fascinated by going to Texas and Terry Funk and blah blah blah. You know, like so it probably is. You know, it probably like for us, it's like it's. I mean, it's cool to go to Knoxville and hit up some bars or whatever, but just Knoxville.
Yeah, I don't know. I just
But
maybe
my note here: the Steiners win. They get attacked by Dick Slater and excuse me,
Dick Murdoch.
Dick Murdoch. Sometimes I have
Murdoch.
sometimes I have notes about like what I would say if I was on commentary.
Couple of dicks.
No. The Steiners, they have won this match. Slater and Murdoch, I Ku Klux can't believe this.
I just put they get attacked by a couple of dicks.
What was their tag name? I didn't write it down. I forget.
The hardliners.
The hardliners, that's what it was. That doesn't last very long. And of course, these two guys are also, Dusty hires, two of his buddies.
Yeah.
But yeah, Slater and Murdoch attack the Steiners. And
Next match. Quick here.
So the next match we have here is the aforementioned Diamond Stud against Tommy Rich. Diamond Stud, of course, is escorted by the leader of the Diamond Exchange, Diamond Dallas Page, which is probably the best usage of DDP as a loudmouth manager.
Yeah.
I was never a big
I like
fan of DDP as a wrestler.
Me neither.
And I respect what he's doing now.
Yeah.
As a person.
It's like I don't want to say it. It's like it's kind of like the reverse. And I know this guy's changed his life and did whatever, but it's kind of like the reverse. I feel like, sorry, I'm mumbling, but it's like DDP is like reverse Jake Roberts for me. Like, I'm a huge Jake Roberts fan as a wrestler, but the life he lived as a person, I think he's kind of like a trash bag human being,
Right.
you know? But like as a wrestler, I'm not a big fan of DDP as a wrestler, but as a person, DDP is a cool dude.
Yeah,
You know what
great
I mean?
guy. Great guy.
Yeah.
It's like that guy you're going to fire at work because he's a shitty worker. You're like, man, he's a really nice guy.
Yeah. But he's just really bad at his job.
We're just going to have to let Bob go. But Bob's such a nice guy.
Yeah. But this is the Diamond Stud with DDP versus Tommy Rich. And it's quick and to the point. Diamond Stud gets his pants ripped off by a fan picked by DDP. Diamond Stud hits the Diamond Death Drop, which is basically the Razor's Edge. Well, it's not basically, it is the Razor's Edge. And your winner is the Diamond Stud.
Then we get the
was what it was.
We get the segment where they're introducing the winner of the Sting lookalike contest.
They bring out Ben.
Ben's cool. Ben's a cool little dude.
Yeah, he don't look like Sting, but then Sting comes out and the kid's all jacked up. He's like excited, and they do the thing every time if they have like a professional wrestler involved with a child, that it just seems it sounds awkward because Sting picks up Ben and he shows him to the crowd and he's like, this is the thing that gets me excited and makes me feel good. It's like, dude, I know what you're saying, but you don't know what you're saying sounds like.
It's like when Hulk Hogan says, when the kids are out there mean Gene, it really turns me on. Like he's not
shut up.
He's not trying to be a pedophile. That's not what he's saying.
But you sound like it.
Yes, exactly. Yep, absolutely.
But it's like he picks little Ben up and he's like, this is the thing that gets me excited and makes me feel good. And then Nikita comes out and he attacks Sting. And if you go off if you don't know what you're watching and you just see it, you're like, oh, Nikita did right. You know? But looking at the segment, and we won't get too much into it, I think Ben was a plant.
I always want to hope not, because I actually have written down here that it makes me think of when I was a kid when I see the joy in Ben's face that his hero is coming out. But you're probably right.
But I don't see them doing a segment and then like the mom jumping over the railing and him like Ben was one of the guy's kids.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I think
Ben's fucking Johnny Rich's kid.
Yeah.
Ben Rich. Sounds like a 70s country artist.
Yeah.
But yeah, we get the heel heat on Koloff because he comes out and interrupts this child's meeting his hero. We get an ad for the Bruise Cruise.
Imagine being a wrestler having to be on that thing.
Yeah, I am too close to these fans for way too long.
And I can't get away.
I can't get away.
They smell like wet Nikes.
That's how I always feel. That's how I always feel like when we talk about reliving the extreme, how the ECW wrestlers probably felt. Like, oh my god, they all know where we stay. Here comes this stinky mob of fucking assholes.
Yeah. I'm just trying to snort coke at the motor lodge. Here comes Hat Guy. Jesus Christ.
Then I have a couple of notes on this next thing. It is the Great Muta versus U.S. champion Lex Luger for the #1 contendership. So I'll do my notes really quick, and then I'll let you give your thoughts. But first note, Bill Kazmaier. There he is. We get our introduction to Bill Kazmaier, and I put down, well, at least he didn't bring his gigantic globe to get in everybody's way.
Well, one of my notes was anytime, other than Mark Henry, anytime they try to do like the world's strongest man on something, it never works.
Yeah.
And I don't remember actually who the football player was, but it's like I remember being a kid that I like the first time I saw Saved by the Bell, the college years, I thought Bill Kazmaier was like the new Mr. Belding. Like I thought that guy was Bill Kazmaier for a minute. I remember thinking that.
I can't remember that guy's fucking name either. I'd have to look it up.
He's a football player, but anyway.
My notes on this, Luger and Muta. First of all, I was excited to see it, hoping it went longer, but it didn't. It was less than 4 minutes. But
sorry. Go ahead.
But very cool missed spot. I actually thought that it was really, really cool that was with his gigantic bicep, Lex Luger was able to cover his whole face to counter the mist. I was like, that's fucking cool as shit.
That was. I thought you were talking about the dive that Muta did.
No, that was cool too.
The outside. But yeah, like I did like that. But my only notes were it's another good match and the best run of fucking Lex Luger's career.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the mist dive to the outside, and like you said, Luger putting his bicep up and blocking the mist. That was a cool spot. And then
I don't know whose idea that was, but that was fucking genius. That was fucking genius. It
probably wasn't Lex Luger's idea. It was probably either Muta or Dusty's.
Dusty.
Yeah, it was cool. I didn't mind this match.
I didn't either. Like I said, I actually thought it was too short. I wanted it to be longer.
Yeah.
But yeah, Luger defeats Muta. He's the #1 contender. And of course, the story at this point is he's going to face Flair because, well, spoiler alert, Flair wins the main event. But, and of course, we know that that's going to change because Flair's going to leave. And it's going to be a whole new story by the time we get to the next Clash of Champions.
Yeah.
Another coming attractions video. And this is another person who is from my USWA Texas that I'm watching that WCW has poached. Steve Austin.
He's never going to do anything else.
Yeah, what's he ever going to do? Steve Austin and Lady Blossom coming into WCW, and it's funny.
Fucking hot, man.
Yep.
It's funny. I'm gonna just put it out there. Like she's like, you know, like when you look at like 80s or early 90s chicks, sometimes you're like, I don't know, man. Maybe at that point she might have been hot, and you look at it now, you're like, I don't know. But fucking Lady Blossom, you put Lady Blossom in 2025, she's so fucking hot.
Yeah,
she was good looking. Good for Steve.
One thing I wrote down that has nothing to do with this show, but has to do with what I'm watching from Texas. It's funny because, Steve Austin is billed when they start the Steve Austin Chris Adams feud in Texas. Obviously, Steve got Jeannie. She's Chris Adams' ex-wife. So that's the whole thing there. But it's funny because when he first comes in, obviously his first time, Mark Lawrence introduces us to Steve Williams. Okay.
Yeah.
And then he changes his name within like 2 weeks. I think it's like a 2 or 3 weeks. He's Steve Austin. And then he becomes Stunning Steve Austin. But it's funny because they're doing the teacher student thing. And, you took my ex-wife, you brought her out on TV with Chris Adams. Chris Adams still like 6 months into the thing, still alternates between calling him Steve Austin and saying, "Listen here, Williams." But anyway, it's just a little silly thing.
Yeah.
Austin is facing off, and I'll let you, because you posted it on our Facebook group earlier, but we had the same note here. But it's Steve Austin versus Joey Maggs.
Yeah, and they, in complete WCW, they put the cryon up that says jumping Joe Maggs. It's not even Joey Maggs. Jumping Joe Maggs up when Steve Austin is on camera. And
could they be more opposite?
Yeah. And then the match itself is, oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, I just put down in my note, I wrote down the same thing you did. Like, they have Joey Maggs in front of Steve Austin on screen with the cryon. Could there be two more opposites? There is another instance of this in WCW history, and I can't remember if it's on a Clash, so I'm going to mention it now. There is a match between Steven Regal and Eric Watts, and when Steven Regal is coming to the ring, they put up the cryon that says Eric Watts. And that's another one where I'm like, could you have two more opposite? Like, what an insult.
Yeah. And the Steve Austin guy, whoever he is, the Stunning Steve guy, he beats
yeah, he's gonna be
Jumping Joe Maggs, and
he's just gonna be another mean Mark.
Yeah. Another Flex Cabana. This Stunning Steve guy, he beats Joe Maggs in like 12 seconds with a stun gun. 1, 2, 3, and your winner is this jabroni Steve Austin. And then we get a coming attraction for one of the biggest stars ever.
Black Blood.
Yeah. From a little town in France.
I think, if I remember correctly, during this promo for Black Blood, he mentions the prior match and calls the Steve Austin guy a stone cold piece of shit.
Stone cold piece of shit. Woman beater. Yeah. Did they ever put a gun to one of their heads and shoot him? But anyway.
Black Blood, of course, is Billy Jack Haynes.
Yeah, this is fucking stupid. He's from a little town in France. Okay? But the music itself is terrible for the gimmick. Because he's got like early 90s like saxophone piano music for this Black Blood gimmick. And then like he's from a little town in France, and then he looks at the camera and he's like talking from like he's from like the Northeast, and he's like Black Blood and Black Blood. So stupid.
Anyway. And now I can't believe I was so surprised in this next segment when the York Foundation unveiled their new member.
Yeah, Jim Ross will be like, hey, no surprise, y'all. It's Ricky Morton.
Richard Morton, God damn it.
Richard Morton.
And I wrote down here, I don't know whose idea this was, but it was dumb. I always thought this was dumb. I always thought it was dumb to have, even if you wanted to break up the Rock and Roll Express, which in itself is dumb. But even if you wanted to break them up, it's even more dumb to make him Richard Morton in the York Foundation. Why not just, if you're going to break them up, if you just have to do it, why can't it just be Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson? Also, why wouldn't Robert Gibson be the one you turn heel?
But
Just,
they almost did something cool.
if they did, it was by accident.
They almost did something cool. Like Ricky turns, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And Robert Gibson came out and bitched about it. And they had Richard Morton go, oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Because Curtis Hughes and Terry Taylor were about to attack him. And Ricky was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. That wasn't part of the contract. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And then they had Ricky attack him. It would have been kind of cool if Ricky Morton's character would have been like, whoa, I'm going to turn.
Robert's off. Robert's off limits.
But
kind of thing.
Robert's off limits.
Mm-hmm.
Like that would have actually been pretty cool.
But of course,
they fucked it up and they had Ricky attack him and whatever. But him going like, I'll turn, but you can't do anything to Robert. Let him do his thing. Would have been kind of like a cool wrinkle in it, but they didn't do it.
I agree. But yeah, the York Foundation beats up Robert Gibson. Dustin Rhodes comes out to help Robert. And then we go to our main event, which I put down here. I just kicked back, relaxed, and watched this match.
Me too.
Although I did have to put down, first of all, at least Bobby didn't come out to weird chants of his name. He came out to the Midnight Express music. Ric Flair came out to terrible Ric Flair music.
And that's in my notes. I'm pretty sure his haircut and the music were that compromise for Jim Herd. Because Jim Herd wanted to make him Spartacus. And if you listen to that music, that's music that you would kind of give to a Spartacus gimmick.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Jim Herd, he wanted him to wear an earring and he wouldn't do it. So I think these were compromises.
Jim Herd wanted to do to Ric Flair in 1991 what Vince McMahon did do to Ron Simmons in 1996.
Yeah. And then the match itself, I don't really have any notes for the match because it's one of those matches where you just sit back and watch it.
Yep, same.
But like we talk about like guys like, oh, this guy never went to work for Vince, or this guy never went to work for Vince, and you're like, oh, I can't believe that never happened.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think singles Bobby would have worked in the WWF.
No.
Maybe the Midnight Express, like working with like the Hearts and the Rockers. But it's like I'm kind of glad that Bobby Eaton never went there.
Yeah, the extent to his time with WWE, he worked there briefly as a trainer, but never on TV. And yeah, like you said, I think, and I honestly, I'm gonna be honest. And we'll get out of here. We'll get out of here soon. But just correct me because my timeline might be wrong. When Cornette and the Midnights did have discussion with Vince about coming up, was that the Eaton Condrey or was that the Eaton Lane Midnight Express?
I think it was Eaton Lane, I think.
Okay. So I was gonna say I don't think Condrey would have worked in the WWF, honestly.
Not at all.
But Eaton and Lane could have, like you said, if you put them up against the Rockers and fucking the Hart Foundation and maybe maybe the British Bulldogs, and that could have definitely worked. But yeah, Bobby Eaton as a singles and Dennis Condrey in general, it never would have worked. I don't think Dennis Condrey would have signed that kind of contract anyway, because Dennis Condrey liked to just say fuck it when he wanted to leave.
Yeah.
But no, I agree.
But the match itself is really good. Bobby, beats Flair in the first fall with the Alabama Jam. Then second fall, Bobby gets counted out. And one thing I did like was usually like wrestling foreshadows when they're like 2 out of 3 falls or time limit or television time,
Mm-hmm.
But in this one, it's like they did that, but Flair actually won the match.
Yes.
2 out of 3 falls.
And actually,
like,
my note
right before the. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say I agree with you, but also my note is one thing sometimes that I am not. Wrestling's choreographed. We all know it is, but the point is to make it seem not choreographed. One thing that sometimes about Iron Man matches and 2 out of 3 falls matches that bothers me is when I say, okay, this time it's a 2 out of 3 falls match, so that guy beat the other guy in 5 minutes. What I liked about this match was Ric Flair and Bobby Eaton had like a 14-minute match before they got to the first fall.
Yeah.
And then the other, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't like, well, it's 2 out of 3 falls, so now Bobby Eaton can beat Ric Flair in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree with you, and it's kind of the same theme. Like we're saying, this is this is a realistic 2 out of 3 falls match.
And I really enjoyed it. And like I said, I don't have a lot of notes because I actually enjoyed it and was just watching it. So,
Same.
But Flair comes out Flair comes out victorious. Flair's still your world champion.
And that is Clash of the Champions 15. Again, a lot of change because Dusty's finally taking hold as the head booker of note, as I like to say, of record, because there's always people underneath creatively, but he's the man in charge at the end of the day. And the question that I always ask, did we go down a notch, stay status quo, or go up a notch? Surprisingly, even considering the shit going on with Flair at the time and the turmoil going on behind the scenes and some of the silly gimmicks and some of the silly decisions, I actually thought this Clash was a step up from the last one. I was more entertained by this one than the last one.
I was as well. This was a step up.
I agree. So next week, we're going to be doing Clash 16. Let me just take a look here, just real quick. I haven't watched the show yet, but I just want to see. So it's our next Fall Brawl. It's September 5th, 1991. And of course, like we discussed earlier, shortly after this, you have the Great American Bash, where Flair has left with the World Championship to be the real world champion in the WWF. So they have a crisis on their hands. It's going to be Luger and Wyndham for the title in a cage. The crowd is chanting, "We want Flair." It's kind of a nightmare, this next pay-per-view for WCW, but they're going to get the shit together, I think, by the next time we have a Clash of the Champions. Get back on.
If they ever get their shit together after that, but anyway,
as much as they can. Do you have any parting words before we sign off?
Just thanks for listening, and anybody that's out there on YouTube or any of the other outlets that you listen to it, write or rate, review, comment, do whatever you can do, because that helps us get our listenership up, and that's that.
Yep. Join us on WNR Podcast Network on Facebook. Join us on the WNR Podcast Network on YouTube. Feel free to comment. Email wecan'twrestle@gmail.com. And I just wanted to say, because like I said, I went forward. I just put it up on the Wikipedia here so I could see what the subtitle was, the Fall Brawl for the next clash. And I just wanted to mention, much like last time this time with PN News. And I was like, ooh, I see the name PN News. Aaron's going to be happy. For the next clash, I see the name Van Hammer. So I'm looking forward to that. And we'll see you next week, everybody, on the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Have a great week.